Scholars Are Blind, chapter 24. It was Sunday, and in the warm month of April 1975, the day the Christians celebrated the resurrection of their Lord, Amai had already left for the mission to attend the church service, something about communion. All the children have gone with her. Baba had gone to visit some friends in the next village, an excuse to stop Amai from asking him to join her. Farai was somewhere else, hopefully still alive, but we had not seen him for at least a week. But Baba had said not to worry. He was a man fighting for the cause. I remember wiping that long table outside on the Rogers' veranda. The missus had said that there were friends coming over for lunch to celebrate the religious holiday. I laid the mats in front of each seat, 10 places to be exact. Judy will be coming to see Matthew, so make sure to place them next to each other. The missus had emphasised before the family had left for the service in Umtali, where they would have a service away from the mission folk, who allowed everyone to mix and dine together in spite of the segregation laws. To my surprise, the Bass had gone along to church too, missing his card game. It was probably the only time I'd seen the Bass go to church. The rest of the time the missus went alone. The breeze blew lightly at the gum trees lining the driveway, and I marvelled at the sight of the tea plants stretching out across the estate. No wonder men from the city came to buy bags of Bass's tea. It was lush and green, good crop as he called it, and no wonder trucks of it always left the estate full. Baba had said that Bass's tea was in demand, something about a special process that the Bass used to dry the leaves. Once Baba had bought some of the dried leaves and had brewed it up in a cup for us. I hated to admit it, but I started to enjoy the delicious taste from the moment the aroma floated out of the brewing pot. My eyes drifted on the table. The missus had china so pretty it could mesmerise you. Fine porcelain plates, white and pink and yellow flowers at the rim, sparkling crystal water glasses, shiny polished silverware, and, in the middle, to harmonise all that beauty, a vase with sunflowers that Bass Rogers had picked up for her in the morning. All things Amai could never have. I wondered if one day freedom would come for my people, if it was legal to dream of having a house of my own where I could pick sunflowers from the backyard and lay out china for a Sunday meal. And as I cozied with my daydreams, the sound of a motorcycle floated in, sending the dust up in a panic. Matthew! The motorcycle came to a rest and Matthew waved. Where's everyone? On their way, I'm sure. Your uncle and aunt went to attend the service in Umtali. My uncle went to? Well, I'll be damned. He walked onto the veranda with his feet dusty and bare. He walked to the table as I laid out the bowls of hot steaming stew. The missus has insisted that I have everything, including the food, out on the table at noon on the dot. We wouldn't want you pouring hot water over anyone like last time now, would we? Best have everything ready before the guests arrive, she'd said. He leaned towards the bowl of chicken and lifted the lid. We both licked our lips. I hadn't had chicken in weeks. He hadn't had chicken in hours, I suppose. I understand that it was more important to feed the comrades, to feed the cause and hurry the race to our freedom. So I didn't complain, at least not always. Matthew reached out to steal a piece and I immediately slapped his hand. Oh, come on, it smells so good. It's torture to wait for anyone else. He teased, reaching again for the bowl. We tousled over the lid, laughing for a brief moment. The different worlds that Matthew and I lived in didn't exist. It was only us. What could go wrong, I thought. What's happening here? We both froze and fell silent. My heart began to beat like festival drums, and I slowly placed the lid on the table and stepped back. Bass Rogers stood there with Baba on one side, a sack balanced across his shoulders, and Philip on the other. It was a shock of seeing Baba there that shook me the most. I thought that he was with his friends in the village. I feared him at that point, feared that he had seen what he must have thought. Good afternoon, Bass. Uncle, good afternoon. Cousin Philip, they let you come visit us at last. Matthew moved away from my side and walked confidently to his cousin, who engulfed him in a hearty embrace. They enjoyed a short laugh as I shifted on my feet, unsure whether to retreat into the house or not. I've missed you, Matthew. Uncle here said you'd driven to the city when I visited you last time, and it's a good thing I'm here, eh? You're still up to your old tricks, I see, he said, showing Matthew playfully. Matthew stole a glance at me as he smiled at his cousin, a little colour filling his cheeks and ears. You should have written to say you were coming. I would have come to meet you. "Oh, not to worry, my cousin, I'm already here, aren't I?" he said, ruffling Matthew's hair playfully. "We have a lot to catch up on. At least you have a lot to tell me about. I'm here for a while, you see. They've sent me here because they say that terrorists are crawling up and down into Mozambique. Uncle here has been kind enough to allow me to stay here where I can get some home cooking instead of eating slop on the base with one of the other soldiers." I kept my eyes fixed on the ground, afraid that if I raised them, all the truth of my involvement would seep out. "Yes, at least there's one of you boys who doesn't think he's too good to serve his country," Bass Rogers said, looking out on the veranda. His brow raised and his lips curled in disgust. His eyes danced between me and Matthew. "Come, show me where to put my bags, Matthew," Philip said, heading into the house. "You can use your old room, Philip. I'd like a word with your cousin here." Philip and Matthew exchanged looks before Matthew walked into the house with his bag. My eyes glided to Baba, who's still there holding the sack. "Matthew, what's going on here? I leave the house for a bloody second and you lot are busy playing around here. Your aunt will not be pleased about this." I craned my neck to see if the missus was close by, but could not see her. The Bass walked towards me, his breathing heavy from what sounded like anger and disgust both meshed together. I stepped back, remembering how tightly his hand had been wrapped around my throat the other day. "Bass?" We all turned to Baba. Bass, what shall I do with this sack? Should I take it into the shed?" I imagined Baba was trying to help. He wanted to distract the Bass for my sake. "Get out of my sight, boy, lazy bastard. You must be told what to do every bloody time, wasting good money on you." Baba stood there for a moment longer, watching the Bass as he came closer to me on the other side of the table. "You're lucky I'm feeling merciful today, girlie, it being the day our Lord rose and all. You best get yourself out of here before I forget just how merciful I'm feeling." I watched Baba linger there a little before walking off, mumbling to myself. "But you?" The Bass now turned to Matthew with his finger pointed at him. He stopped himself and shot a glance at me. I scampered away and stood in the corridor out of sight, my back pressed against the wall and my ears reaching out in their direction. "Where were you this morning? Got your aunt in a real bloody mood, you did. You made me attend a service with her because she couldn't find you." "Uncle, I told you I was going to attend church at the mission today." Matthew's voice was quieter than usual, almost as if he knew it was not what he meant to say. "Bloody hell, that nonsense has to stop, Matthew." Bass Rogers' voice boomed so loudly I jumped. "Since you've been back, you spend less time here than with those damn missionaries. Busy lying to each other and fraternizing with the Africans. Now you listen to me carefully, boy. The only religious teaching that you ought to be listening to is what Rhodes said about not associating with these animals, not filling your head with that nonsense the missionaries preach, you hear?" "But uncle, You were what? Will you now tell me that you're going to join them in the trees too and become one of those terrorists, eh, Matthew? Is that it?" Terrorists, that word again. I still wonder, even now as I tell you, Muzakuru, that when people are killing each other, both black and white, then why are only the Africans terrorists? Matthew said nothing. "You know what the chaps at the station are calling you and your missionary friends now, Matthew? Bloody Kaffir boaties. That's what they're calling you. Such an embarrassment to the family." Kaffir boatie? The only time I'd heard anyone use that term was when Baba told the stories of how we lost our land. He said it was an Afrikaans term from across the border that was given to any white man that cozied with the blacks, a way of shaming him. Why do you insist on making a mockery of this family? Why can't you be more like Philip, eh? I didn't need to see Matthew's face to know that it had been a fateful blow right into his guts, not to mention mine.